welcome. You're listening to the best of investing on News Talk 910. You know our show. It's where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. For those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. A few guys sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience, listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm pleased to have as my co-host Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage. Now, Mark Hahn is off today attending an important real estate conference that he'll let us know what happened next week. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. You got it. We're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme is random questions. I just have a bunch of different random questions. Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show on Comcast, because we're also on television. Comcast Channel 26 on Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. Now, today's special guest is Vince Sheehan. Vince Sheehan, I got that right, who owns Remax Vision.
That's right, Ed.
Okay. So, Vince, tell us.
Remax Vision is a real estate company.
Yeah, well, everyone's heard of Remax.
Oh, maybe it was an eyeglass.
No. Oh, okay. But this is Remax Vision, the real estate company.
We could check your eyes when you come in, Robert, if you like.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Robert, you want to ask him the first question? Come on, you can do it.
Sure. This is about the,
okay,
about the VA. No, about the VA.
About the VA, there you go.
I had someone call me and they asked about VA loans and what can you tell us about VA loans? What are the how much can you borrow on a VA loan? Do you have to be an active member? How does it work? And how do you determine how much you have to put down and those kinds of questions?
VA stands for Veterans Administration.
A veterans loan.
Veterans loan. And most veterans do qualify if they served in wartime with the VA, with whatever branch of the service they are in. The VA loans, I've been in the business a long time and I haven't done that many, and their limits used to be quite a bit lower. But now, in the last 4 months, I've had 3 different people come to me, and they are buying with VA loans, even here in Marin and Sonoma County. So in Marin, believe it or not, the VA loan limit is $1 million.
Wow.
That's an enhancement for being in the military.
Yeah, really.
You can get a VA loan for $1 million.
And I guess being a Boy Scout, that doesn't count as being a veteran.
No, not quite. You have to do a little bit more than the Boy Scouts. But now in Sonoma County, the limit is $456,250 for the loan, and then in Napa County, it's $500,000. So that gives you a lot of flexibility when you're buying a home to use your VA eligibility.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, let me get into the second question, all right? Because I don't know how many VA loans that we're talking about here, but let's get into this one. My neighbor sold their house, and they said that they needed to have the city building inspector. Now, this is different than a regular inspection that you have for termites and the roof leaks and stuff like that. So they had to have a city building inspector when it was sold. Now, is that required everywhere, or what's going on with that?
Well, here in Marin County, almost every city or town does require a resale inspection by the local building inspector. And in order to do that, you go into your local jurisdiction, the planning or building department, and you usually have to pay anywhere from $150 to $350 to schedule the appointment.
Now is that to pretty much make sure that everything that you've done is with permits, like you remodel the kitchen, that sort of thing?
It's part of it is fact finding for the city to see if you did everything with permits. A lot of it has to do with health and safety violations. Now, one of the big ones is the GFIs in the kitchen, in the bathroom for safety, and then smoke detectors, things like that. But they will look for things that weren't done with permits.
But what happens if you have a house that it was built in 1920 and you haven't remodeled it, and there's nothing wrong with the permit type issues? Do they
They,
suddenly?
they could even still allow non-intuitive electricity if that's what you have, as long as it's not any help. They wouldn't necessarily make you update to a whole new electrical system.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Is that
Satisfactory.
they say, "Hell, well, there's no GFIs in here. You have to put them in."
Well,
Right.
GFIs, I think, are required, just like now you have to have smoke detectors and you have to have carbon monoxide detectors. Everybody that gets a loan now, every time they look and see, the appraiser has to see whether this is something new this year. There have to be carbon monoxide detectors, and if not, you have to put them in. The appraiser has to come back. It's another cost. So they're always more and more. We must be getting very health and safety.
Yeah,
Well,
Very healthy and safe.
the coffers need
Yes,
money.
yes.
part of it is it's certain things trigger other things. Like you don't need a permit to get kitchen counters replaced, but if you replace the kitchen counters, then you have to upgrade the wiring and have the GFIs put in. So it's something you really need to check with your specific town, because it does vary. You know, like in the city of Novato, they have the Wooey area, and that's not an Asian restaurant there on Grand Avenue. The Wooey area is the Wildland Urban Interface, and it's a district created by the Novato Fire District, and so even more restrictions apply in building codes.
You know, I got a permit to change a light bulb one time. It cost me $500. But they just sorry. I thought it was a scam, but they said no.
How many people did it take?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. That was the question. Exactly. So let me ask you one other question, because this is a kind of a major thing. Bank of America, I heard, was forgiving some of the loans that they'd made in the past. Now, you shared a story with us before we came on that I think the audience is going to really be interested in, because this kind of went beyond all reason.
Yeah, it's almost unbelievable.
It's almost unbelievable. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were in escrow to sell a property, and it was being sold as a short sale, and it had a first loan over $500,000. The second loan was over $400,000.
Two different banks.
Two different banks.
Okay.
And then just 10 days before we closed escrow, the seller.
Well, before you get into that, how much
Yeah.
was the sale price of the house?
It was around $850 in that range.
And
So
about
is those-
$900 was owed on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, no, actually more than 900. It was about $1.1 million was owed. So it was a short sale.
Okay. The first was how big?
The first was about 600 to 650.
Okay.
The second
Oh.
was 450.
Okay, there we go. Those are
Okay,
now
sorry.
I'm at $1.1 million.
So
Okay.
the
All right.
sales price was more than the first mortgage, but less than the combination.
That's
There
right.
you go. Thank you very much for putting that together for us. Okay.
So what happened 10 days before closing, the seller received a letter from Bank of America that said, as part of the National Department of Justice and State Attorney General settlement with mortgage lenders, that their loan was being forgiven. Now that was on the second, which was approximately $450, and just forgiven.
Now, had this been triggered by was B of A contacted because it was a short
That's what I
sale?
was
Was
gonna
the
ask,
second
yeah.
mortgage, were they contacted? I mean, both in a short sale, don't both the first and the second have to be contacted
Yeah, because
to
they
ask?
won't reconvey unless they
Because,
agree to it.
because I would imagine normally before this happened, the second mortgage holder would say, well, we're not going to be the only ones to forgive debt. If we're going to forgive some, we want the first to.
Exactly.
And they negotiate with each other. Isn't that the way it
This
traditionally works?
That's the way it traditionally works. This had absolutely nothing to do with that. It turned out.
Of course, we're assuming that one part of Bank of America would absolutely know what the other part was
Yeah.
doing.
Well, and remember, the first is a different bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So-
Yes, totally.
So the interesting thing about this was we did have the short sale approved by the short sale department of Bank of America. And when we first saw this letter, we thought it was some type of a marketing or maybe
Sure.
modification letter.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't believe it. And the more we investigated it is for real. And we've been told that it went out to about 150,000 borrowers across the country.
Well, what I don't understand is if they had to approve the short sale, and if you're selling the house for about $850, and the first is $650, forgetting commissions and expenses for just a minute here. Sure, B of A would take a haircut, but they would still walk away with $200,000. The seller would get nothing.
It was a little less than that, but they were
understand,
getting money out of it.
Yeah.
I have an impression that the settlement that they came up with, and Kamala has the Attorney General for the state of California, pressured the banks to put a lot more money than they were willing into debt relief for people facing foreclosures in California.
So they basically get to show this letter to Kamala Harris and say, look, we just gave for you $400,000.
And there may be certain things in the solution that they came up with. There's certain dates that by a certain date they have to have done a certain amount of transactions or relieved a certain amount of debt. Because here's an example that you're saying that I mean, if they had time, they would say, well, we're going to get $200,000 in 12 days in this rather than nothing. So let's go in and do $30,000 relief of debts, and we'll lose this all.
Or why don't I just go in there, just go to BFA and just start buying all their seconds at pennies on the dollar. So anyway, we're going to cut to a commercial break, and because I want to finish off this story, because this is a very, very good story. I really like this one. Okay, here is the commercial break, the first commercial break. Here's the first trivia question. Again, it's random questions here. In the 1970s, there was a TV show called The Love Boat. Now, which cruise line was featured? First three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In the 1970s TV show The Love Boat, which cruise line was featured? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, and please remember to speak slowly and spell out your email for us one letter at a time. And we'll be right back. Excellent. Good. Second. You kept clicking your thing.
Oh, I didn't know what you were saying.
Yeah. I'm all here. Click. It's like when Mark sometimes kind of goes like this, no. Because this mic picks up on that stuff. Having fun so far?
Yeah.
I thought it was like,
I went for a speech class at SF State.
I'll take right back with
Okay.
And when I saw my tape, I was sitting there on the podium tapping each time I said something.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why I'm
amazing
trying
you
to
don't
keep
think
my-
about it. Yeah, exactly. You just, I mean, like I have like nervous, twitch like that, but as long as I don't hit anything.
There is a little more to this too to
Good.
tell
good,
people
good.
because they got a letter a month and a half before saying we'll accept $150,000 right now and waive.
Now, they
So-
V of A volunteer there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Before it even was in
unbelievable.
escrow?
No.
Oh, it
It was right. I don't think we applied for the short sale yet. Because we're just got an offer and we're just about, they were. I don't want to say too much where it'll get tied to that specific.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no,
That's why I was messing with the numbers a little bit.
Oh,
beginning. That
that's the
So
reason.
you
Okay.
could say, and this isn't the only case I've had of this. There was another case where
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so what I want to tell people is if they get a letter saying, and I want to specify that it's a HELOC type loan and an equity line of credit.
and it's just B of A.
Well, it's also
Well,
Chase,
something.
and there's some other lenders.
Because I know
too.
Chase has called people and said that
Yeah.
they're willing to modify. In fact, I was working. Well, we can go into it.
Yeah. Do they do it only if they see like a sales coming up, or they just?
I think they're just
No.
they just go through this
No.
stuff.
Can I be proactive and call my Wells Fargo?
I love your idea of putting an ad out and saying if you have a B of A line of credit, I'll buy the debt from you.
You have to buy from BFA.
No, oh well. You can, well.
You can't buy it from buy it from the owner of the house. I love this guy.
Then they wouldn't relieve it. If you owned it, it wouldn't be relieved though.
We won't buy the house. You got to go to BFA and buy the debt.
So how could
But I don't know if BFA will be that. They have to. You have to buy like $50 billion worth. Yeah, but if I buy it for pennies on the dollar, still can't afford it. So what I'll do is come back and I'll just kind of give a synopsis of the story because in case we get new listeners.
Do you know the answer to the cruise line?
Was it Princess?
Yes,
Oh,
you knew that, right? Don't you remember that? Captain Stubing.
I remember more of fantasy. Tattoo.
The plane. Smile, everybody, smile.
Let her rip, Captain.
You let her rip, Captain. I like that.
Let her have it, Captain.
That was ripping.
Okay,
That hurt.
So sorry about that.
Oh.
Don't give me any pens and nothing sharp objects.
That's what they did. I won't run without scissors.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-host Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage, and we're in the studio here with Vince Sheehan from Remax. And when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question: the 1970s TV show The Love Boat, which cruise line was it? Vince.
Princess
Cruise. That is correct. Now I'm going to just refresh the audience's memory here as we went to commercial break.
And ours
And ours too. Okay, Vince was telling us a story about a person who was selling his house. That the value of the house was about $850,000. The first mortgage was about $650,000. Had a second mortgage, which was a line of credit, of about $450,000. And the bank, in second position, this was on a short sale, was willing to walk away completely from the transaction rather than get roughly $200,000. Less expensive.
But the bank wasn't doing that as part of the relief of debt on the short sale. It was totally it had nothing to do with the short sale.
No, it had to do
with the settlement from the Attorney General and telling.
Yeah, but how do we know that? I mean, it was triggered by the short sale, wasn't it?
It was not.
No,
It was
no,
not. Oh, is it
no.
coincidental?
It was coincidental.
Wow, that's good timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in this
Could
case,
you
the seller's
imagine?
going to walk away with $100,000+, $200,000 when he's going to walk away with
a
nothing.
little less.
Yeah,
But
but
roughly what
you
it
know,
says.
the thing is, too, I wanted to mention about that, it applies apparently to the HELOC loans, which are the equity line of credit second loans on properties. And they also had received an offer from Bank of America about a month to 6 weeks before that if they would pay a lesser amount, about $150 on the $450, that then it would be waived. So I just want to alert listeners that if you receive a letter that says we'll forego your $200,000 equity line for $50,000, there is a chance they may just waive it completely down the line, but they would have to check into that.
Yeah, what do? You call the bank and say, hey, I got this letter that says if I pay, in that case, $150,000, you'll get rid of my $400,000 loan. How about if I give you zero? Would you get rid of it?
Yeah. They're not gonna tell you that at that point, but you could ask if it's part of the national settlement with the Department of Justice.
Well, quick question for you. On the one example that you gave us, was the owner of the house current on the
No.
mortgage payments?
No.
See, that's the thing, is that, for all of us honest people, well, now, I don't want to say he's dishonest, but for all of us who are currently paying on our mortgage, I can't imagine the bank's going ahead and...
No, this was meant to keep people in their houses, so I think the timing that this happened, it had a big impact on our sale with the buyers, and we worked something
But every time
out.
I get in an argument with my wife, she throws me out of the house. That doesn't keep me in the house.
That's true. That's true.
So I have a special doghouse just for me. No, my wife loves me very much and keeps me in the house.
Well, she figures you love the dog too, so it would be an honor to be in the dog house.
That is true. There was another question you were going to ask. Did you forget? Oh, Robert, you forgot.
Tell me.
Okay, here's the
Give me a
question.
hint.
Okay, the hint
It
was,
was the
what's
princess
going on now? Specifically,
Oh.
you happen to be in Nevada, and we're talking about what's going on in Marin. Why don't you talk about just inventory in general?
Just generally in the real estate market, what changes have you seen recently, and where do you think we're headed compared to where we've been?
Well, as far as the market, really everything really started picking up around February this year. A little bit last fall, but really February everything changed pretty dramatically. And the inventory levels really have gone, one way they figure it is how many months of inventory. They have a way of figuring it. And now in a lot of communities we're down to anywhere 2 to 3 months, where it was anywhere from months to a year and a half at one point.
But the prices haven't spiked up yet, though.
They haven't spiked up, but by virtue of the buyers getting off the fence and buying properties, the prices are actually higher.
I've had the recent, for getting purchase loans, people coming to me that are buying places. Most of the deals I've been involved in recently have been multiple offers, and most of them, the sales price has been higher than the list price. And that certainly wasn't the case the last few years.
Yeah, but they're still down considerably from where they were in
There's
2006,
still
but
some percentage of what they, like
Yeah,
the
but
one in San Rafael that was, they listed it in the 7s and sold in the 8s, and the last time it had sold was 1.1 or 1.2
Yeah,
million.
exactly.
So we're still off at the top, but
yeah, but at least it's coming off the bottom now.
yeah, and it's
I have some statistics here that in '07 the average sales price was about $1.2 million in Marin, and that includes everything from condos up to $10 million homes.
Sure.
And
is that the average?
That was the
Median?
average.
Median.
No.
Median mode or
Median.
that
Median,
whatever. Okay.
whatever it was, it was the average.
I forgot all my
Okay,
statistics. though.
in 2011 it was 848, and now this year it's 869. So it is increasing.
It's about 3%.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a normal type thing, 3 to 5%.
Right. That's more normal than the crazy years.
Yeah.
But there's still, I mean, didn't we hear last week, Mark had some, like 20% of the people that own houses nationwide are upside down
Yeah.
underwater?
And then a lot of people who are buying houses are buying them for all cash.
They are.
That's-
Because of the return on their money. It's a good investment, not in the higher price ranges necessarily, but just specifically in Novato, Petaluma, probably some of San Rafael, if you can buy something between $400,000 and $500,000, that you can get a good return on your money if you pay cash.
By renting it out.
Yes.
Yeah, but I guess what you're getting at though is if you put a mortgage on it, you're going to be paying 3, 4, 5%, and that's what you have to counterbalance.
That counterbalances, but even with mortgages, that it's a lot closer to cashing rather than having a large negative on properties where at the peak of the market it wasn't even coming close. So now you can
Yeah.
make an
I mean,
investment.
the other way to do it is if you could get enough return, you want to leverage it and buy a few houses. But
Yeah.
again, you're looking at, it's to me, I like being debt free.
Most of the
I'm not there
investors,
yet, but I
there's
like it.
something statistic at a seminar I went to, and about 70% of the investors were actually paying cash in these market levels for homes.
For like 400,000.
Yeah, around anywhere 300,000 to
Where were they
500,000.
all that
I
money?
mean, that 70% of the sales were to investors?
That of the investors that were buying, about 70% of them were paying cash because they can only get 0.5%
Yeah,
to
exactly.
2%
Do you
in
think
savings.
that's in areas like where the average sales price is 400,000, or areas like Stockton or Vallejo where it might be,
250.
or less,
Or less,
150
yeah.
or
I
less.
think it would work in a lot of those areas too.
But you found that it was a little bit more in the higher end.
Well,
Maybe people
in our area, see, we get higher rents though. So I don't know when you go out further away from the city if the demand is as high for the rentals.
Well, I guess it would, those people, maybe they took the money out of the stock market.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure, or you can take it out of, in some instances, you can take it out of IRAs if you have a self-directed IRA. Not that it's
Yeah, that's true.
certainly not as safe as a T-bill or the mattress, but pretty safe at these levels.
Okay, hey guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break here. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit more fun stuff and what's going on. Robert's definitely got a few very interesting economic type questions for us here. And last week we had a special trivia contest where the winner was going to receive a 2-night stay at the lovely Glen Ellen Inn, which is a great getaway to the wine country, and it's the perfect way to relax this winter. The Glen Ellen Inn Oyster Grill and Martini Bar is the perfect place for a romantic meal or holiday party with friends and family. Make a night of it and stay at the Glen Ellen Inn Secret Cottages, glenelleninn.com. And here's the question. This is a really tough one. In the 1960s TV show The Wild Wild West, what was James West's birth date? That's a tough one. The answer was July 2nd, 1842. And it appeared in an episode because there was a tombstone. Do you remember Dr. Miguelito Loveless?
I do.
Do you remember him?
I
He was the little guy, right? And anyway, our winner was Tony from Modesto. He again must have seen every show. Okay, here is the second commercial break trivia question. This is to me, this is another hard one. Which 1968 Hot Wheels car was introduced before the actual car was introduced by General Motors? The first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Which 1968 Hot Wheels car, and I was a big Hot Wheels fan when I was a kid. I didn't even know this one. So which 1968 Hot Wheels car was introduced before the actual car was introduced by General Motors? So actually Hot Wheels produced a car, and then General Motors probably looked at it and said, wow, that's a small one. Let's make a big one of this one. Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, and again, remember to speak slowly and spell out your information for us one letter at a time. And we will be right back. Excellent.
68 General Motors car.
That's a hard one.
Camaro.
No.
I googled James West year
Yeah.
born, and it came up just like that because I didn't know this. The Wild Wild West, there was a real James West, and so when you Google it, it came up with a real James West, the date of birth,
Biography.
and we died. Yeah, the whole 10 yards.
Did you come up with that date?
Yes. So you do
So
James West,
No wonder the guy got
a
it.
birthday, and it's not all about
too.
it's not about the actor. We didn't even go into that. It's about a real James West.
But not a
Wild Wild
gunslinging, nice secret agent guy.
I didn't
huh?
read the whole thing, but he was some.
Maybe that's where the
If
show
it
got
was
from.
based on a real character.
Yeah,
That's probably how I got it.
yeah.
So Randy gets his holiday vacation.
That's it.
Good going.
See, no one says that you can't Google these things.
Wasn't a Buick 442.
No.
Hot Wheels.
Is it
I don't think
GTO.
Buick ever made a Hot Wheels.
Okay, you guys ready?
Ready, boss?
Okay. Oh, when we get in,
Ready, Captain.
what's that,
Ready, Captain.
Captain? Hey, Captain.
So,
We'll get into the let's get into email time.
Yeah.
For you, and then we'll get into that stuff. Which is really
that'll
good.
be, I might stumble and bumble with that, but that's okay.
with your sequestering.
Yeah, yeah. But you can help.
Okay.
So this is a,
Okay. Ready?
I think so.
Okay, we have fun. We have fun. So much fun. Okay. And away we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage. Mark Hanf is off today, and we're also in the studio here with Vince Sheehan from Remax Vision. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this hard trivia question. Which 1968 Hot Wheels car was introduced before the actual car was introduced by General Motors? And I got to tell you, it was not the Ford Pinto. Oh, that would have been Ford anyway.
And it wasn't the Corvair.
Or the Gremlin.
No, but you're close, though. It was the custom Corvette.
Oh.
That's kind of
I was
interesting.
guessing the Camaro, but a custom
A
Corvette.
custom Corvette.
68 custom
68.
Corvette.
Yeah.
What year did the AMC Pacer come out?
1976, I believe.
After the Nash Rambler.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, quick funny story here. I had a friend who actually had a 1974 Ford Pinto, and he lived on this hill that was hard grade one way, easy grade the other way, and literally his car could not make it up the hard grade, so we always had to go around the mountain basically and come up the street the other way. Robert, we received an email for you that says here, are you independent or do you favor one lender over another? Now, this person has obviously heard you on the show, so you have to tell the rest of the audience what you do for a
That's a
living.
good question. And my company is RPM Mortgage. And RPM Mortgage is an anomaly for some people. It's a mortgage bank. We don't have locations where you can go get a checking account. What we do is we fund loans for people for 1 to 4 residential units in California and about 10 other states. And we can fund the loan ourselves, and then the RPM will sell it off to a whole list of banks, some of which you've heard of and some of which you haven't, or we can sell it directly to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And I have the choice of either taking the loan directly to RPM. For instance, I can take it to RPM and know they're going to sell the loan to Chase. Or I can look at Chase or some other bank and find out what their rates are and how they are fitting into the parameters for the loan we're looking at. And, I have a choice of going to the bank or going outside the bank to other banks or some credit unions. And each time a client comes to me and wants a loan, that's my process to go find out where I'm going to get the best deal for those people.
Yeah, since you're totally independent and
yes.
you are like the smartest mortgage broker, banker we know.
I've been doing it for a while, and I'm pretty knowledgeable about what I do.
Yeah.
Other people are too, but I'm pretty good at it.
Is that 1957 you started?
Oh, let's see. You mean when I was born? Yes.
Yeah. So basically, then people just, in effect, it's sort of like a one-stop shop. Really, they can just call you because then you can pretty much go out and shop to figure out which.
Absolutely, and I've been doing this for 20 years or so, and the way you have a stable, real business is to get referrals, and the way you get referrals is to have happy clients, and the way you have happy clients is to find the best possible loan for them.
The rib bone's connected to the.
I guess just to give, as a realtor, you have a choice to send somebody to a bank, just one lender, or to somebody like Robert that has a lot more flexibility. It can work either way, but with Robert, he can put the people in a program that works for them. Doesn't matter which lender he uses.
Yeah, I was going to say, because even maybe Chase might have the best rate, but rather than go to Chase, nothing personal against Chase, but rather than going to Chase directly, go to you, and you might find that Chase does have the best rate for that particular individual.
That's right. There was one bank that always had the best rates, and we found out their nickname was Great Rate No Loan. Because they would
Almost
never
like a
close a loan. Yes, it was.
How did they stay in business?
Well, they didn't.
Oh, there you go. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, Robert. So, if people have questions,
they
for you,
can look up the RPM website, which is very informative and has a lot of little charts and graphs, and people could actually see on their own if they could qualify, or they can contact me through the website or call me at 415-515-1941, or they can get to me through look at the website for the best of investing.
That's right, because if people just call RPM directly, they may get some other broker.
They may get some other
And we want them to talk to you.
Yes,
Because
thank you
you're
very much.
the smart one.
Yes.
Yeah, I only had 6 years of high school. I think it took you 4 or
And if
5.
they call and ask for the smart one, the operator that they get may not know.
No, it's you. You know, one quick thing here I saw in the paper about, change subject for a minute here, about foreclosures down sharply. Now, I was thinking that the reason may be because people who were going to get foreclosed had already been foreclosed on. And so there weren't too many more people left to foreclose on.
I think also that the banks held back significantly on foreclosures when robo-signing became a problem, and the banks were looking at penalties and fines for foreclosing in manners that were perhaps not totally legal.
I think
So they decided at that point that's my understanding or my impression, that the banks said, wait a minute, we don't want to face legal proceedings for improper foreclosures. We have to reconstruct everything, and there was a time where the foreclosures really were held back, and I think that's part of the less foreclosures happening. Also, like you said, that a lot of houses have been foreclosed on.
Yeah. And they may still, maybe the banks will start foreclosing again once things. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that goes back to that forgiveness letter. I think a lot of the banks were waiting to see what was going to happen with that national settlement, so they held off for a while.
How big was that settlement?
I don't know the amount.
I don't know. It was.
I mentioned
I think it was in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
very
There's a lot of
significant.
mortgages out there.
A lot of mortgages out there.
And I think the other reason why, especially this year, the numbers are down sharply is because the banks really are being proactive about trying to make short sales work. When we started doing short sales about 4 to 5 years ago, it could take, six months, 9 months. We've got them through in as little as 2 months now. And it's pretty
good.
different.
I mean, to buy a house and take 2 months that's not unreasonable.
No, not. I mean, a lot of times you are getting a little bit of a discount in the price if you hang in there. So it is worthwhile.
I wonder who's the one who makes the decision at the bank to decide, okay, this short sale, this one works. Oh no, they're asking for way too little.
Well, have you seen ones that didn't go through that the bank said no? Because my experience has been it's taken a long time, but they've all said finally yes, okay.
Well, we have had some where the banks have just at the end pulled it and turned it into a foreclosure. So there have been some. So you have to, as an agent, when you're working on short sales, you have to be proactive in being in contact with the short sale people, and if there's a trustee of sale date.
Now, I'm guessing that those were first mortgages.
Mostly first, because
Yeah.
the seconds don't have. They kind of have to wait and see what's happening. But on the first mortgages, if they have a trustee sale date, part of a short sale agent's job is to keep trying to get that pushed off until you receive an approval from the short sale department for that same bank.
And January the 1st, and I don't know if it's part of the same settlement with the Attorney General's, but there's a law that says after January the 1st, if your house is in foreclosure and you are trying to work out a modification or a short sale, foreclosure can't go through while either of those other things are in process.
Wow. I wonder if it doesn't matter what part of the process.
Well, I mean,
You're
try
sending a letter to the bank saying, hey,
if
let's
you
talk about this.
you would start a procedure for a modification, then you forestall it.
And Vince, now you own Remax Vision.
Yes.
How many agents do you have?
I have 6 agents that work with me.
Okay.
Remax Vision.
And Remax is a franchise. Right.
Remax is a franchise. It's a new venture for me,
Okay.
not for Remax. They've been around since '74, and the 2 owners that own Remax that started it in 1974 are still the owners of the
That's all with the
company.
big balloon.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now they're in 90 countries and 90,000 agents. So
And if people needed to get a hold of you, we're gonna cut to a commercial
Sure.
break. So before we do that, though, in case people wanted to give you a call, how would they get a hold of you?
yeah, the best way would be to call me at 415-302-2500, or our website here in Marin is marinsfinest.com.
Okay, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are very curious about that specific. Obviously, you're not going to give personal information out of any of your clients, but about that B of A letter that talked about getting rid of the second mortgage.
Is that Marin's Finest? Does that have an apostrophe in it?
No apostrophe on the web address.
Okay, guys, we're going to cut to our third commercial break here. Here's the trivia question. Again, this one, I don't know how hard it is. The Oakland A's had 3 Rookies of the Year in a row, 1986, 87, and 88. Name all 3. And hopefully you can name them in order, but that's okay. You don't have to. The first 3 callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. See, I think most people know the first 2 and they'll forget about the last one. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your email and spell it slowly and 1 letter at a time to answer this question. The Oakland A's had 3 Rookies of the Year in a row, 1986, 1987, and 1988. Name all 3. Again, 888-912-1190. We will be right back because Robert, when we get back, Robert's got some really interesting economic information that's going to be affecting the entire country. You're not going to want to miss it. And we'll be right back. Okay.
I can hardly wait.
There you go.
They're stopping making baby blue bars.
They're stopping making what?
That's the news. They're stopping making baby blue bars.
Oh, you're
Baby bars. No, they better not. Those are good.
Thank you. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, take your phones off because I'm never sure why.
Thank you.
So that the audience knows it.
Oh, that's
We're
right.
off.
We're on the break.
In case I use some of it for Phil, and then down at the bottom it says station
I don't
break.
know who those rookies of the year are. Just blank.
Don't know any of them?
Well, I know them once you say them, I'm sure.
86.
86, 87, 88.
That's when they all
They're
had
gonna
their
have some tough ones this time.
None of
Oh, come on.
mustaches
guys.
and their hair. And
only
Brad
after you say it.
Pitt.
Brad Pitt. Go ahead. You'll answer Brad Pitt on the air. That'll be good. No, we do that all the time.
Because that was in Moneyball.
Yeah.
No,
No,
he
they
was the
asked what
coach.
kind of
He was
shark.
the coach.
What kind of shark was the logo? And I said it was a long shark.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like
Yeah,
that.
that was a real
That
good
was
one. I
funny.
like that too.
Robert, you're so funny.
Hammerhead, loan shark.
That's right. Yeah, these were hard this time.
So
Sometimes I get too many phone calls and I go, I gotta go through
Pitcher
all
was
these.
a pitcher one of them?
No.
No.
Oh, wait, I gotta figure this out. Sorry, here.
Oh, yeah, I'm joking.
Claim joke, real estate joke.
Yes.
Did you get mine?
We
Did you
do,
get
yeah,
mine?
you can't swear and
No, no.
have dirty stuff. So you have a clean real
I have
estate
a
joke?
clean real
Okay,
estate
good.
joke.
We'll do that
Did
one.
you get my joke?
I did today.
Was that the Pulitzer Prize? Yeah. Which one was that today? Oh, that's right. Yeah. How are we doing?
We've got 8 minutes and 42 seconds left.
It's the fourth.
Yeah, we got short.
So how's it going compared to how you thought it was going to go?
Good.
Make sure I get this right. 10, 20, 30, 40. Yeah, that's right.
Now, I may be reading some of this. That's okay.
Just give us the gist.
Just don't rattle the paper.
I told you to fix that window.
Boy.
Killing me. Okay, ready?
Calling me.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Aye, aye. Let it
Mr.
happen, Captain.
Kramer.
Let it happen, Captain.
Okay, here we go. Who's trying to get in the door?
It
It says
just,
quiet.
Somebody?
it just opened 2-3 inches and boom.
Couldn't read.
I think a bill collector.
There you go. Okay, here we go.
That's a good name for someone. My
Bill
name's
Collector. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage. Again, Mark Hoff will be back with us next week. We're also in the studio here with Vince Sheehan, who owns Remax Vision. When we cut to the third commercial break, we asked this trivia question. The Oakland A's had 3 Rookies of the Year in a row, 1986, 87, and 88. Vince, you thought you knew the answer.
Brad Pitt and
Brad
Moneyball.
Pitt in Moneyball. No, that is not correct.
I don't know.
And it wasn't Babe Ruth.
It wasn't Babe.
No.
It wasn't Raleigh Fingers.
No, it wasn't. Come on, 1980s. Ready? Jose Canseco was 86.
86.
Mark McGuire.
Mark McGuire was 1987. And Walt Weiss in 1988. Now.
God, that is amazing.
Okay, we promised the audience that when we came back, Robert, you were going to have some very interesting economic information for us. Take it away.
Take it away, and the clue word is sequestration.
Sequestration. I used to ride horses, so I know
That's
about
equestrian.
sequestration. Oh, that's equestrian. Oh, never mind.
Wasn't that on
Se-
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea?
Or wait a minute.
Sequestration.
Or is this Ryan Seacrest?
Sequest? Oh,
No, that's Ryan
And when you
Seacrest.
sequestered, wasn't that when in grade school when you were sequestered and you had to go sit in the corner?
I don't know.
But
It's something to do with
at any
juries.
rate, earlier this year, there was a big fight in Congress about raising the federal debt limit, and the result of that was that everybody finally, after much duress, agreed to raise the debt limit with the provision that there would be a special committee that would get together and figure out what to do to make sure that we didn't have to raise the federal debt limit again, as we've been doing for the last decade or 2 decades, and come up with some plan to reduce the debt. And they were under the sort of acts, executioner's acts, that either they would come up with a plan, or if they didn't, then January the 1st, there would be a huge change in the tax tax laws.
So they all had to play nice in the sandbox.
They had to play nice in the sandbox, and they just could not find a way to do
They
it.
couldn't play nice in the sandbox.
Couldn't play nice.
They couldn't play well with others.
So,
So what happened?
so what happened is unless they learn, and our representatives learn a way to play nice in the sandbox, coming January the 1st, there's huge changes in the tax law. There's huge budget cuts that are not open to negotiation. They will happen January the 1st. There's just within the federal government, they said that there's going to be tax cuts that are equivalent of over $1 trillion sweeping across almost every part of the federal government, including defense.
Okay. Well, now tax cuts or budget cuts?
Well, budget cuts.
Okay, budget cuts.
And some of the ones that may not be the largest amounts of money but apply to the most people are, a lot of people have been unemployed and the government has been extending their unemployment benefits. January the 1st, that will stop. So everybody that's on extended unemployment will not receive unemployment money after January the 1st unless we can learn how to play in the sandbox.
And what, extend the benefits some more?
No, they.
No, or else they'll.
Or else they'll continue to extend them. But
They can't extend them
So
indefinitely.
there'll be a big cut in Medicare and the things that Medicare will pay for, and who's going to provide the Medicare benefits. There's a lot of the tax deductions that are going to expire. For instance, I think the estate tax is going to go back to what it was, anything over $1 million. I think on January the 1st will be taxable.
Yeah.
And that's something like a 50% tax. So there's
So-
huge.
So as of right now, that's happening January 1st unless they reach a new agreement.
That's legislated, yes.
What's that going to do to the economy?
They say here that add it all up, and we're taking policy changes equal to about 4% of the total economy. So if that happens, that's not real good for seeing us get out of the recession and heading towards a better economy.
But keep raising the debt ceiling isn't the answer either, though, is it? Just keep printing money?
Well, I'm not sure that raising debt ceiling and printing money are the same thing. And we've been raising the debt ceiling for decades and decades. And I really don't know if raising the debt ceiling and having the federal debt be a smaller amount of the total numbers in the economy, that may not be a bad thing. I think if you look and see what countries are thriving and what countries have certain levels of debt, they don't necessarily go together. The countries with the least
What's a
debt,
quadrillion here and a quintillion there?
suddenly it becomes
Almost,
money.
it suddenly becomes money. Exactly.
Does it affect any of the congressmen's pay or pensions?
Now, what have you been drinking?
I want a job where I keep giving myself a raise all the time. Nobody can say anything.
Yeah, they'll just have to get a bigger sandbox.
Well, that to me is one of the things. First thing that should happen is to vote people in who absolutely have to promise and actually follow through. And if they don't, they get thrown out. Where they lower their pay. Most of these people who go to Congress are rich anyway. They don't need.
I think almost everyone in Congress is a millionaire.
Yeah, and that's not enough, right? They have to have free postage when they leave and all this other kind of fun stuff.
So it's more of a hobby.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this off air that the original founding fathers, when they were done in Congress, they went back to farming and all that other stuff. In fact, didn't you say that they actually paid to become a congressman?
Well,
of course, they kind of do that now anyway.
They were certainly not doing it as a way of solidifying their economic future.
Yeah, it wasn't a retirement situation.
Certainly now, if you're in Congress, there probably are some lobbyists knocking at your door, and probably future after your elected time in Congress goes by. There have been laws that said that you can't become a lobbyist within several years after you've been in Congress, but there are other things that they can do in between those couple of years. So
I can only imagine.
I think so.
Vince, any last words before we? Oh, you said you had a quick real estate joke.
Yeah.
You have about 45 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah.
this is not
The real estate-
This is not R-rated.
No, not R-rated at all. Obviously, the real estate business is a little competitive. So one broker decided to open up on a certain corner, and he put up a sign that said "Best Agents," and he started to do pretty well. So on the other corner, another guy opened, and it said "Lowest Commissions." So a third guy opened right in between them, and it said "Enter here."
There you go. Exactly. I love that. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day. Thank you, first of all, Vince. Thank you very much for joining us in the studio here.
Thank you.
Okay, thoughts for the day. Just 20 seconds of fuel remained when Apollo 11's lunar module landed on the moon. I'd say that was cutting it just a bit
Is that
close.
true?
But that's apparently true.
Amazing.
It says it here on the piece of paper, so it must be true, right?
Got
And,
on the internet.
Robert, I got a question for you. If you had to choose between your wife and winning the lottery, what kind of car would you buy first? I'm sorry. I know you love your wife, and I'm just teasing you. And with that, we invite you to tune in next. I always tease Robert. He's a good guy.
If I chose wrong, it would be a hearse.
Very good. I like that. All right, audience, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.